aggregates that support these, is the most excellent and secures purity. Its activity is that of acting as a support for fruitless activity and suffering. However, there are sources that say that attachment to something as most excellent is called clinging to heterodox views, and clinging to what secures purity is called clinging to personal morality. However, these sources are vague and nonspecific, or else what they say is a concession. Otherwise, why is it said that taking non-cessation as cessation and that which is not the path as the path are wrong views and not the two kinds of clinging?
23. Innate passions and those arising from discrimination. Among the 10 passions, 6 are both innate and originate from discrimination, because they occur both spontaneously and through discrimination. Doubt and the above last 3 kinds of false views originate only from discrimination, because they must only originate from the power of bad companions and false teachings, as well as one's own reflections. When it is said that attachment to extreme views originates both ways, one interpretation has it that only the view of annihilation originates both ways. The characteristics of the view of eternalism are gross and only arise through the power of bad companions, etc. The Yogacarabhimi Sastra and other texts ask, which extreme views are innate? That which is included in the view of annihilation. He who practices the contemplation of the truths, satyabhisamaya, fears, right now, where is myself, therefore when birds, animals, etc., encounter something that threatens them, they fear for the annihilation of the self and are terrified. According to another interpretation, the Yogacarabhimi is speaking with reference to coarse characteristics of this view. Actually, the view of eternalism is also innate. That is, birds, animals, etc., grasp the self as eternally existing and busily accumulate goods for a long time. Therefore the Vikyapana Sastra and other works say that whether the aggregates that are grasped as annihilated or speculated about as being eternal, these views may be either innate or generated by discrimination.
24. Interrelationship of the 10 passions. Which of the 10 passions are associated? How many? Craving certainly does not occur simultaneously with hatred and doubt, because the two objects of desire and loathing are certainly not the same, and because there is no defiled attachment to objects that are uncertain. Craving may be associated with pride and wrong views. The beloved object and the detested object are not the same, and for that reason it is said that the two do not occur simultaneously. That which is defiled, i.e., the body, and that in which one takes pride, i.e., the self, can be the same, and therefore, self-love and self-pride can be associated. And, since all the objects of the 5 views are lovable, there is no problem in the association of craving and the views.
Hatred may occur simultaneously with pride and doubt. The hated object and the object of pride are not the same, and therefore it is said that hatred is not associated with pride. But it is possible for the despised object and the hated object to be identical, so they can be associated. When one is at first uncertain, one does not hate that object, so hatred is not associated with doubt. Having thought for a while and being still uncertain, one experiences great anger, and therefore, uncertainty and hatred can be associated. Doubt may or may not be associated with hatred, depending on the favorability or unfavorability of the object. Hatred is certainly not associated with the 2 false views, because one does not hate what is grasped as being superior. Hatred may be associated with the remaining 3 false views. One does not arouse hatred toward the pleasing aggregates viewed as eternal, and therefore there is no association between hatred and false views. However, one does arouse hatred toward the painful aggregates viewed as eternal, and therefore hatred can be associated with the false views. Hatred may also occur or not occur simultaneously with the false views if the aggregates are seen as impermanent and subject to annihilation. Hatred may or may not occur simultaneously with wrong views depending on whether one denies bad things or good things respectively.
Pride in an object is certain, and doubt is uncertain, therefore pride and doubt are not associated. It is possible for pride to occur with the 5 false views, drsti, because their modes of activity demonstration of consciousness only and development are not mutually contradictory. However, pride certainly does not occur simultaneously with the view of annihilation, because when one holds to the annihilation of the self, one does not despise others or esteem the self. The same is true with regard to pride in association with a part of the view of the self and wrong views. Doubt is uncertainty and is contradictory to false views, therefore doubt and the views are certainly not associated. The 5 false views themselves are certainly not associated, because a plurality of discernments does not occur simultaneously in a single mind. Delusion is definitely associated with the other 9 kinds of passions, because all passions are necessarily born as a result of delusion.
25. The passions and consciousnesses. With what consciousnesses are the 10 passions associated? None at all occur in the store consciousness. Manas has 4, all 10 occur in mental consciousness, and only 3, craving, hatred, and delusion, are found associated with the first 5 consciousnesses, because they are lacking in discrimination and because pride, etc., originate in calculation.
26. The passions and the feelings. With what feelings are the 10 passions associated? 3. Craving, hatred, and delusion, being innate or resulting from discrimination, can be associated with 5 feelings, because craving in the presence of a disagreeable object occurs with sorrow and suffering, and because hatred confronted with an agreeable object occurs with delight and happiness. There is an interpretation that pride that is innate or generated by discrimination may be associated with 4 unpainful feelings, because the esteem of something painful and vile is associated with sorrow. Another interpretation is that innate pride also occurs simultaneously with suffering, because, as previously explained, manas has the feeling of suffering. Pride, etc., generated by discrimination are non-existent in destinies of unadulterated suffering, because there are no false teachers or teachings, etc., there. Moreover, beings there do not perform karma that leads to evil destinies, because that karma can only occur as a result of discrimination.
Doubt and the last 3 views can be associated with 4 feelings, because doubt in the realm of desire concerning the existence of suffering, and the other 3 holy truths, is associated with the feeling of delight. The 2 false views, that mere rights and personal morality are efficacious, may be associated with sorrow when their objects are views associated with sorrow. According to one interpretation, the 2 innate views of the existence of a self and the reality of extremes are only associated with feelings of delight, happiness, and indifference, because they are not associated with the first 5 consciousnesses and are non-determined only. When arising from discrimination, these 2 views may be associated with 4 feelings, because grasping the aggregates associated with suffering as me and mine and adopting views of eternalism and annihilationism, with respect to suffering and happiness respectively, entails sorrow.
Another interpretation is that these 2 wrong views, if innate, are also associated with the feeling of suffering, because in places of unadulterated suffering, the aggregates connected with extreme suffering are associated with suffering. The Yogacarabhumi Sastra says, all innate passions can be present with the 3 feelings. A full explanation has been given earlier. The rest, concerning the 2 wrong views, is as explained earlier. All of these explanations are based on truth. From the standpoint of coarse characteristics, craving, pride, and the 4 false views are associated with happiness, joy, and indifference. Hatred occurs only in association with feelings of suffering, sorrow, and indifference. Delusion can be associated with all 5 feelings. False views and doubt are associated with 4, excluding suffering. Happiness associated with craving and delusion is found throughout the lower 4 stages, i.e., the realm of desire and the first 3 trance states. Happiness associated with the other 7 passions is found in the 3 trance states, but not in the realm of desire. Doubt and self-reliant delusion in the realm of